Welcome back to World of Immersion. Today we're going to be talking about the one and only Knott Scary Farm. We're going to be ranking every single maze from this year's event in 2024. Now I know it's after the season, but we wanted to get a good chance to go through every single one of the mazes before we made an official ranking of them. So now here we are to rank all 10 of their mazes. That's right, they have 10 mazes this year. And we're going to be ranking all 10 of them from worst to best. Now, before we start today's video, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss when we have brand new content on the channel. We're going to be having a ton of new content coming out very soon and doing some recaps of our haunt visits this year. We're going to have rankings of every single other haunt, including a new updated Halloween Horror Nights ranking and Fright Fest Extreme at Six Flags Magic Mountain. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and comment down below if you're excited for those videos. But with that being said, let's get right into the video. Now, starting off in number 10 in last place, unfortunately, is a maze that honestly I think is worse this year than it was last year, and that is Room 13. Now, for starters, I just want to say this is not a bad maze by any means. Honestly, Knott Scary Farm doesn't have any bad mazes. Their level of detailing and acting is incredible, and this is not a hit to any of the actors or people that designed this maze. It is still a great maze overall. However, in my opinion, it is definitely the worst of the bunch. A lot of the scenes feel significantly more empty than the other scenes at Knott Scary Farm. Knott Scary Farm is known to have these really huge, elaborate set designs, and this maze just feels much smaller. There are no really big scenes in the entire maze, and honestly, there's not that many actors in there as well. I do like the theme, though. Overall, it's one of my favorite themes, actually, of any of the mazes that they have. They have almost this old Hollywood hotel style, similar to Tower of Terror, in my opinion, and like I said, it's a really cool theme. I just don't think it was executed very well. Also, in my opinion, the soundtrack gets very, very repetitive. It is the same slow beat throughout the entire maze, and I wish they would change it up a bit and maybe just add some more sets. This maze honestly could really do with some more actors too, because I feel like it's just missing actors in every single scene, unfortunately. However, like I said, it's still a really good maze. It just comes in last place, in my opinion. And at number 9 is a maze that I feel like has not been anywhere near as good as it was since its opening year, and that is Bloodline 1842. Now, this maze, in my opinion, was incredible the first year it opened. It was one of those mazes that started with those laser blasters, so you get to shoot every character, almost like laser tag, except the characters jump out at you. It was really cool. It added a really cool storyline to the maze as well, where the pre-show and everything. However, after that first year, they removed the blasters and made it just a walkthrough experience. They turned that pre-show into an additional part of the maze. However, there are no actors in there, and in my opinion, it just feels very empty. That being said, though, the set design is really, really good in this maze. One of the first scenes you go through with the huge train going over your head is incredible. It's one of the best sets in any of the mazes that they have. However, like I said, it just is nowhere near as good as it was with the blasters. I wish they would bring back the blasters. Maybe they will for its final year. I'm not sure if next year is its final year. However, it probably is going to be ending decently soon, since it was new almost 3 years ago at this point. But like I said, it's still a decent maze, just in my opinion, nowhere near as good as it used to be. And coming in at number 8 is going to be Origins, The Curse of Calico. This is a fan favorite maze that has been here for a long time now. I remember when it was brand new. It is weird to think about now that it's one of the oldest mazes in the park. However, it's still a really good maze. This is one of those mazes that has some of the best set design out of any of the mazes this year. However, in my opinion, just isn't that scary. Like I said, the set design is incredible. There are some huge sets in there, some really cool effects too with the scare actors. They'll do some stuff that's different too. There's one character that flies over your head. And like I said, it's really cool. The story is also pretty easy to follow. They got actors out front of the maze too, explaining more of the story. And it's a really cool maze overall. I just wish it was a little bit scarier. I wish there were some more jump scares in there. But overall, it's just a great maze, and I'm really sad to see it go. But I can't rank it any higher just due to it not being that scary. However, coming in at number 7 is a maze that is also its last year, and that is Waxworks. Now, this maze is really good. It's been one of my favorites every time that it's been here, and this is actually one of the best years it's had. I feel like on the last years of each of their mazes, they always put a lot of actors in there just to give it life right before it's going to be ending. And Waxworks this year was no exception. There were a ton of actors in there. I actually had an incredible walkthrough on opening night where I walked through with just our party. There was nobody around us, and it was really scary, I'll tell you that. It was a great maze. I love the actors in there, and I think the set design and the props are really cool, and it's a really creepy maze. It's definitely one of the creepiest that they've had. I'm really excited to see what they do with this location, though, because Waxworks has been there forever now. I believe it's almost 5 years now that it's been there. But like I said, it's a great maze. And thank you to all the actors that were in there this year. They put on a great show for its final year. Now, coming in at number 6 is unfortunately the maze that has fallen the lowest in my rankings this year. This, I believe, I had almost at number 2 last year, and that is Grimoire. Now, this maze, unfortunately, was one of those mazes that suffered heavily from having less actors than it did. Last year and the year before, when it was brand new, it was incredible, especially that first year. It was packed with actors. Every single room had tons of them. It's really easy to tell the story. However, now they kind of just rush you through that pre-show, so it's harder to follow the story. And the few walkthroughs we had this year had very, very little actors in it, unfortunately. Set design is still great. The story is still really interesting, and I love the sound effects and the time scares in this one. However, in my opinion, I couldn't rank it any higher just due to how little actors were in there. In addition, this somehow gets one of the longest lines in the park. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the capacity of it. But it's still a great maze overall. I'm excited to see what they do with it next year. However, I really just hope that they do a lot more actors, because this year, unfortunately, it really was a letdown with how little actors were in there. Coming in at number 5 is another older maze, and that is Mesmer, the Sideshow of the Mind. This maze is overall one of the best mazes that they've had in a long time. This maze is consistently really good. I feel like I always rank it right around the same number, right in the middle of the pack, except for obviously the year it was brand new. This maze is incredible overall. It's got some great set design. It's really scary, really, really spooky and creepy overall. And it's got some really good actors in there too. The actors really add to this maze a lot. They'll talk to you, and the way that they act is really great. It adds a lot to this maze. And just overall, it's a really solid maze. It will definitely be there next year. Should be sure to check it out. I really hope that they add a lot more actors again, though, because this year it was definitely packed to the brim with actors. We had a really interesting experience. One of the times that we walked through, one of the actors decided to follow one of the people that was in our group. It was really funny. She followed him throughout the entire maze from start to finish, even exited, and we took a picture with her. It was really funny, but it's a great maze overall. Mesmer is definitely one of the best ones at Knott's Scary Farm. And coming in at number 4 is one of the new for 2024 mazes, 8 Fingers 9. This one, honestly, I had no clue what to expect. I had zero expectations going in, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised. This maze very much felt like almost a slasher, where you walk through the town and you get to see glimpses of how the killer has mutilated its victims. You can see people with their fingers cut off because this demon likes to nibble on the fingers of people throughout the maze. It is a really cool theme, and it's got some of the best scares in my opinion. There's this one scene where you walk into the room and it looks like there's not going to be any actors, and one of the walls just pulls back entirely and this character comes out. It's got this huge lead up to it, really cool sound effects going into it. And this maze is also one of the longest mazes I think I've ever experienced at Knott's Scary Farm. I feel like every year these mazes just get longer and longer. They pack more and more into them. It's got some huge sets with like these huge towns that you walk through, and I feel like this one really tells a great story. You get to walk through the forest too at the end, see kind of the backstory of this monster, and they've got some great actors in there, some stilt walkers, actually a bunch of stilt walkers, and a really good time scare at the end that gets everybody. And coming in at number 3 is actually a maze that was new last year that I didn't rank super high. However, this year I think is incredible, and that is Chilling Chambers. Now this maze, maybe I just didn't get a good walkthrough last year, but I did not have it super high. I think I had it at almost 5 or 6. However, this year it really, really exceeded my expectations. It was one of the scariest mazes I've ever been through at Knott's Scary Farm, and it had some incredible actors in there. It had a ton of actors as well. I feel like each scene was packed to the brim with actors, and they really did their job to make each scene come to life super well. You could really sense that you're walking through a history of Knott's Scary Farm. Every single scene was a different maze. They definitely paid homage to each of those mazes super well. And it was really cool to see mazes on the tombstones in the end that were removed even last year, like the Depths and Dark Entities. This maze is definitely a really good maze, and I highly recommend checking it out next year. I hope it has the same level of acting and the same level of theming. It is a great maze overall, and one of my favorites from this year's event. Coming in at number 2 is the other new for 2024 maze, and this is Widows. In this maze, I had high expectations for, and it very much exceeded those expectations. This maze is packed to the brim with spiders. There are spiders everywhere. If you have arachnophobia, do not check out this maze. They are everywhere. There are these big animatronic spiders, and each of the characters, it's really cool throughout the maze. You can see them start to transform more and more into spiders. They start off just more as humans with a little bit of that spider in them. And then at the end, there are these full-fledged spiders. I won't give out too many spoilers, but there are some really cool spider costumes towards the end. And once again, this is one of the longest mazes I think I've ever experienced at Knott's Scary Farm. The set design is also incredible. I think they definitely reused a few of the sets from the Depths, which is the maze that was previously in there. However, you go through this backwards than when how you did the Depths. The facade is what the exit used to be, and vice versa. But this maze is incredible. I highly recommend checking it out next year. I'm sure it will be just as good, but this was a really pleasantly surprising maze for this year's event. And I really did not wait super long to go through it, which was really nice. I think we only waited about 20 minutes, even on opening night. And coming in at number 1, this should be no surprise to anyone if they watched our vlog, is the one and only Cinema Slasher. This is my favorite maze at Knott's Scary Farm, and honestly, one of my favorite mazes of all time. It was my favorite maze last year, and if anything, it got better this year. Once again, this is one of those mazes that is packed to the brim with actors, and not to mention it being one of my favorite themes of all time. I love the slasher theme, and I think they pull it off super well. You walk through each of the different scenes, and it's like you're walking through a different slasher movie. Obviously, they can't do those actual slasher movies, although they do have a picture of Michael Myers in the maze, but it's very much paying homage to those movies. Like the first one you walk through is very much similar to Halloween. You even got that staircase scene with Michael Myers, that being their knockoff Michael Myers walking down the stairs. The soundtrack is also very similar to Halloween. And just overall, the vibe in here is incredible. I love that you get to walk through that movie theater scene 3 different times. These sets are huge. I don't know how they packed so much into this building. I feel like Dark Ride, which was the maze that was here before, was nowhere near as big as this maze. And just overall, it is one of the most perfect mazes I think I've ever done. Highly recommend checking it out next year. I'm sure it'll be just as good. Even if there were 0 actors in there, it would still be an incredible maze, just due to the set design and the soundtrack and the theme of it overall. Cinema Slasher is one of the greatest mazes of all time, and I'll stand by it being possibly my favorite maze of all time. However, that's going to do it for our full ranking of every single maze, all 10 mazes at Knott's Scary Farm from this year's event. Be sure to comment down below if you went, as well as how you ranked the mazes. I feel like overall Knott's Scary Farm was an incredible event, one of my favorite events I've ever been to. We're going to have a full comparison video, though, out comparing Knott's Scary Farm and Halloween Horror Nights this year, so be sure to check that out to find out which one we think was better this year. But that's going to do it for our video today. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss when we have brand new content. Hit that like button and comment down below if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching World of Immersion today, and we'll catch you in the next video.